And welcome to Rockville Science Tuesday. Today's program is stormwater and stream restoration, what works and what does not work. And notice we are having a stormy day today. We couldn't ask for anything, a better coincidence. Welcome, Ken Bauer. Ken is a retired IT specialist. Is a board member on the West Montgomery County Citizens Association, a former member of Montgomery County's Water Quality Advisory Group, appointed by County Executive Mark Elrich, a past board member of the Maryland Native Plant Society, co-founder of the Watts Branch Watershed Alliance, founder of the Coalition to Prevent Stream Destruction, a longtime volunteer supervisor for the Montgomery Parks Weed Warrior Program, and was a certified Maryland Master Naturalist. Today, we're going to learn about the need for stormwater controls and the benefits of green stormwater control and much more. Ken, thank you for joining us.
Welcome. Thank you, Howard. So thanks, everybody. So let me start. This is a picture of it's called at the universities at Shady Grove in Montgomery County, and it handles stormwater from the parking lot you can see and at least the building on the right. I'm not sure about the one in the background. So I prefer to take questions at the end, and if you are an employee of the industry, the stormwater control industry, please let us know just so we know where you're coming from. And I'll provide a copy of this presentation if Howard wants. It has a lot of links, and I'll go through some of the slides pretty quickly. And so I always throw this up. Full disclosure, I have no financial interest in the practice of stormwater control or stream restorations. Just going to throw some of these up very quickly. The concerns about stormwater control and stream restorations are really snowballing. A lot of recent articles, and I'll just leave these for your reference if you want a copy of the presentation, and you can look at these at your leisure. But there are many articles coming out about this. Here are the topics that I'll be covering: residents' concerns and needs, how green stormwater control can help, the regulatory drivers of stream restoration, out-of-stream versus in-stream stormwater control, what is a stream restoration, some Montgomery County specifics, and then I'll summarize. So let me talk about residents' concerns and needs. The topic of stormwater control touches on many residents' concerns and needs in the area of health and safety, responsible government spending, livable communities and quality of life, as well as jobs. And the question is, how can green stormwater help? Well, as it turns out, green stormwater control can address many of these concerns simultaneously. So let me give you some examples. In the area of health and safety, trees on the bottom left counteract heat advisories by lowering the air temperature. Bioretentions and permeable pavement, shown on the right, absorb stormwater, which can reduce urban and stream flooding. In the area of responsible government spending and its impact on property values, trees, which can be used for green stormwater control, can increase property values anywhere from 3 to 15%, according to the Arbor Day Foundation. And having trees near your property can save energy and lower utility bills. In the area of value for taxes paid, many different types of green out-of-stream practices are more cost-effective than the in-stream practice of stream restorations. Livable communities, green stormwater control using shade trees, as shown on the upper left, decreases the urban heat island effect. When you control stormwater in areas like these that have already been disturbed, you protect our natural areas, like the one shown in the upper right, by eliminating the need to do in-stream stormwater control that clear cuts sections of natural areas. And so the point of this slide is that, and I didn't show all the examples, but the point of this is that the green upland out-of-stream stormwater control projects address a whole array of residents' concerns and needs as co-benefits. They check off all the boxes, or circles in this case. In contrast, stormwater control using in-stream or so-called stream restoration techniques, they create jobs but really don't provide any of the other co-benefits. So what are the regulatory drivers of stormwater control? In the case of stormwater, the primary regulatory drivers are pollutant limits imposed by the Federal Environmental Protection Agency. These are called TMDL limits, which stands for total maximum daily load. And these are limits on certain pollutants that can be sent into the Chesapeake Bay. The pollutant limits are spelled out in what's called an MS4 permit, and I'll talk about this in a moment. Urban jurisdictions like Montgomery County, the city of Rockville, and many other areas, jurisdictions like Baltimore City, Baltimore County, have MS4 permits, and these are issued by Maryland Department of the Environment, or MDE, on behalf of EPA. Another regulatory driver of stream restorations is the federal mitigation rule when stream restorations are done as mitigation projects. I'm going to skip this whole area just in the interest of time today. This satellite photo shows the stormwater problem that the MS4 permit regulations are meant, which is to decrease the excess sediment and nutrients flowing into the bay, which degrades the bay's water quality. And this photograph shows a plume of brown sediment from stormwater runoff running into the Chesapeake Bay from its tributaries. The top part of the screen is a screenshot from the MDE website for MS4 permits. MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, has 4 S's and hence the abbreviation MS4. This is the primary regulatory driver for stormwater control projects. An MS4 permit, it's required for jurisdictions with a population of at least 50,000 and that also have stormwater pipes that are separate from their sewer system pipes. This permit can be thought of as a permit to pollute up to certain limits, the TMDLs. In Montgomery County's case, both the county and Montgomery Parks have their own MS4 permits, as represented by the blue documents. The MS4 permit is an effort to clean up the Chesapeake Bay by primarily reducing the amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment that enter the bay from stormwater runoff. And these pollutants, as they're called, come from uncontrolled stormwater that runs off impervious surfaces like roads shown in the bottom left, which then run into stormwater pipes and gets fire hosed into streams, as shown on the right. It should be noted that the purpose of MS4 permits is to improve water quality, not quantity. It is not meant to address the problem of flooding, although most out-of-stream projects do absorb a certain amount of stormwater as a co-benefit. So now let me talk about the difference between out-of-stream and in-stream stormwater control practices. So I've already shown you a few pictures of what these different stormwater control practices look like. This is the cover page of MDE's, again, a Maryland Department of the Environment, the state agency. Okay, so this is the cover page of MDE's accounting guidance document, and it's commonly, which is its common name, it has a big title, but it's used for MS4 permit projects, and it gives a long list of the methods or practices, as they're called, that can be used to meet the MS4 permit. And I'll show you this list on the next 2 slides. Okay, I'm not going to go through all these, but I just want to show you that this document has these tables, which is a list of all the practices that can be used to meet the MS4 permit. And I'll show you some more pictures in a moment. All of them except one are out-of-stream methods. And the only one that's an in-stream method is the stream restoration, which I've pointed to by this arrow. And these are all voluntary. MDE doesn't direct jurisdictions as to which ones they can or can't do. It's just a menu of different options. And this is a continuation of the list. And again, these are all out-of-stream stormwater control practices. Let me show you a couple more examples of what these look like. And I've already shown you a couple. And these are the stormwater practices that control the stormwater before it enters the stream, which removes or at least decreases the cause of stream erosion in urban and suburban areas. And again, the co-benefit of these is that they can help decrease pluvial or upland flooding, urban flooding. They recharge the groundwater. They provide plant and wildlife habitat instead of destroying it, which the in-stream practice does. And the upper left is a picture of a bioretention where the cement curb is cut and the stormwater from the road is diverted into the planted depression. and the stormwater soaks into the soil. And it's very similar to a rain garden. The only difference is a rain garden is just a shallow depression. These bioretentions, they have an overflow pipe. So when they overflow, the overflow goes back into the stormwater, or rather into the piping system. Permeable pavement is shown in the lower left. Converting lawns to landscaping is shown in the bottom middle. Planting trees on the bottom right, and there's a green roof on the upper right. And this is just a small subset of the tables that I showed you. It was on the first slide. The benefit of projects like this is that they're done in already disturbed areas, not in natural areas like stream valleys. And again, there's only one destructive in-stream stormwater control method, and that's, they call them stream restorations. It's really a misnomer of epic proportions, but that's kind of what we're stuck with. And it's a misnomer because they actually destroy the natural character of streams, as I'll be showing you. So what is stream restoration? Stream restorations are major construction projects, really pure and simply. There are several different types of stream restorations, but they're all engineering projects that try to stabilize eroding streams. And the idea is that if you stop stream bank erosion, you prevent the sediment from entering the bay, along with any nitrogen and phosphorus that might be contained in the soil. And these are the three main things that the MS4 permit is trying to decrease. I will tell you that stream restoration proponents either falsely claim or imply that stream restorations will also improve the ecology of the stream at the same time. And this is simply not true, according to the scientific research that I will show you later. So a stream restoration typically involves a mix of changing a stream's natural meander pattern, using heavy boulders, sometimes on top of plastic sheeting to armor plate sections of the stream bank, scraping away a stream bank and forest soil, dumping fill material into the stream channel to raise its level. They're cutting a stream valley and then removing tons of soil to lower the stream valley closer to the stream level, or even filling in the stream channel and digging a completely new channel in a different location. And I'll show you examples of these. Just to be clear, no one is opposed, I'm not opposed to infrastructure protection projects, such as protecting undercut roads or exposed sewer lines as shown here. These are necessary projects, but they are not stream restoration projects. These are spot repairs on the order of tens of feet, not the hundreds or thousands of feet of a stream restoration. And these are infrastructure protection projects do not qualify for MS4 permit credits as stream restorations. So there's several different types of stream restorations. A typical project is a mix of these types. The first is called natural channel design, which tries to decrease stream bank erosion by changing the sinuosity of the stream and using other techniques to manipulate the water flow with rock structures. The next type is referred to different names. I'll just call it regenerative stormwater conveyance, or RSC. It creates step pools, which are filled with gravel, fill material, and wood chips, which is supposed to remove nitrogen from the water. There are two types of what they call floodplain reconnection, which allow water to spread out over a floodplain where sediment and nutrients are dropped. In the legacy sediment removal or cut method, on the top, they clear cut a stream valley and remove tons of sediment to lower the valley floor to the level of the stream. The legacy sediment, as it's called, being removed, was eroded from farm fields starting in colonial times, and it was deposited behind thousands of small dams built for mills over the hundreds of years. And what we see today are forests that have grown up in this legacy sediment, and they're doing just fine, although they're not, pre-colonial forests. In the fill method on the bottom, they fill the stream to a level. They fill the stream to raise the level of the stream closer to the valley floor. The stream, in this case, had eroded down through what may or may not have been legacy sediment due to fire hosing of stormwater into the stream from impervious surfaces. I'm going to show a few slides on what I call the false premise of promise of stream restoration. The proponents claim they will recreate pre-colonial environments, which really is impossible given the current amount of watershed development and population. And here's a quote from the Chesapeake Bay program, what they call the Caesar Report. Quote, "The Bay of the future will be different from the Bay of the past because of permanent and ongoing changes in land use, climate change, population growth, and economic development. And this is the identical set of facts on the ground that also apply to local streams. We simply can't recreate the pre-colonial past, and to think otherwise is wishful thinking, and claiming to do so is misleading. The floodplain reconnection type of stream restoration allows trash and toxins from developed areas to be washed into our natural areas. Anti-pollutants such as pesticides, oil, fertilizer, pet waste, tire waste, salt, and so on contained in the stormwater will be deposited in the floodplain where they are toxic to plants, animals, and people and kids running through these areas. So my rhetorical question is, why dump our garbage in our natural areas? On the other hand, upland stormwater control, like rain gardens, keep pollutants from developed areas out of our stream valleys. For the method of raising the stream bed or fill method of stream restoration, causing the existing floodplain to flood even more will eventually kill existing trees that can't handle waterlogged soil. Yes, you can replant new trees that are adapted to more saturated soil, such as sycamores and box elders, but it will take decades to replace the ecosystem benefits of the trees that were cut. Before our reconnection, plains only flooded during major storms, and when this happened, the floodplain soil and trees absorbed stormwater. Allowing more floodplain flooding will saturate the floodplain soil more frequently, kind of like a wet sponge. And if the sponge is already fully saturated, water added during the next storm, if it occurs soon enough, will just flow off, possibly flooding surrounding properties. So my question is, what's the government liability for this flooding in terms of cost and safety? Floodplain reconnection will result in pools of stagnant water. This is exactly where mosquitoes breed. Arguably, the biggest problem with stream restorations is that they don't address the root cause of stream degradation. And the root cause, as I said, is uncontrolled runoff from impervious surfaces like the roads, roofs, parking lots, etc., that then fire hose into streams, causing erosion. Plus, as I'll show you, the attempted stream restoration cure is really worse than the disease. So now I'm going to show you some examples of these stream restorations around the region. And I always get complaints from industry and government and other proponents that it's not fair to show pictures of the construction process or even recently completed projects. They say, well, you have to wait a couple of years for the project to recover and it'll look nice. And I say, well, number one, you do have to show people the construction process so people know exactly what's being done to their natural areas. And number two, these areas won't recover in a few years, one of our eminent botanists. And the third thing is, I would argue respectfully, it doesn't really matter if an observer thinks that what the final project looks like, even after a few years. What matters is what has happened to the environment. This is a stream restoration in Colombia. This was a fully forested area, like you see on either side. Again, in Colombia, note the rocks that were dumped on the sides to try and stop erosion. This is not what it's not restored to what any natural stream looks like. This is a project in Chevy Chase. This area used to be fully wooded, and the stream side forest plant community was totally wiped out, scraped down to bare soil. These are photos in the Falls Reach Stream Restoration Project in Potomac. The before picture on the left shows a perfectly fine natural stream. Yes, it has a bit of erosion, as all streams do in urban and suburban areas. None of our streams, in the urban and suburban areas, are in pristine condition. The small picture in the middle shows some of the heavy equipment that was used for the project, and the after photo on the right shows that the stream restoration really destroyed the forest community in the footprint of the project. And they scraped down to the bare forest floor. They destroyed the natural character of the stream by straightening it out, armor plating sections with stones, and creating artificial rock dams to block the movement of aquatic organisms. This is Bedfordshire in Potomac. Again, these projects block aquatic wildlife from moving along the streams to hunt and breed. This is an overhead view in Montgomery County, a Methodist, Ashbury Methodist village. And you can see the scale compared to the large tree that was circled at the bottom right. This is in Rockville, Upper Watts Branch. This used to be a nicely forested stream. And if you ask, well, what happened to the running water? I'll show you a couple of pictures in a few moments. Whetstone Branch in Blum Park in Gaithersburg, before on the left, after on the right. Again, note the total destruction of the forest. And you can see the type of heavy equipment that was used at the bottom. On the right, the engineers used this heavy equipment to dig a completely new stream channel to make it look like this. This stream never had this kind of artificial meander pattern, which I'll prove in a bit. And the red arrows show the kind of replanting that they do, those tiny little trees. This is a quote from the city of Gaithersburg about another of their projects, Solitaire Court, but they say, quote, it will take a year or two for the park to fully revegetate. Well, on the right, this is 2.5 years later. And yeah, there's vegetation, but the implication of fully revegetating at this location really clearly is not the case. And what was once a forest is now an area of young plants that simply do not provide the same benefits of what was destroyed, including carbon sequestration, oxygen production, stormwater absorption, wildlife habitat, and more. So for the Whetstone Run project, you can see the before stream in green that I traced, and the after stream location in red has been completely altered. The company dug out a whole new stream channel with heavy equipment and then filled in the old channel. Why? Well, because the more they engineer the stream, the longer the project, the more money they make. The jurisdiction also gets more MS4 permit credit because they get credit by the linear foot of these stream restoration projects. And I'm not cherry picking. These are, I'm going to show you pictures from all over the state. This is Carroll County. Look at how they ran bulldozers right through the forest. This is back in Gaithersburg. This is Solitaire Court. This is what the video came from. Standing at this location on the left, I took both of these pictures. Standing at this location on the left, you couldn't even see those houses through the narrow forest. And on the right, you can see that the former forest is now a giant pile of logs rather. Another view of the same project. The arrows points to the rock dams they made by dumping rocks in the stream. And these will totally block the fish and other aquatic organisms from moving up and down. And because they have destroyed the forest canopy, the water is going to heat up, and if not killing the organisms, it will prevent some of the more sensitive organisms from actually breeding and reproducing. This is Nash Run in Howard County. What happened to the water? Well, on the left, you can see the pipes that they used to pump the water around the area they're working, and more about this later. This is Dead Run in Howard County. This is Scotts Level Branch in Baltimore County. Charles County, project before and after. This is more from the same project, Charles County. This is Prince George's County. This picture shows the rock debris that's dumped into the stream that will prevent the migration of fish and other aquatic organisms. And you can see the scale compared to the worker. This is tons of imported rock. Bear Branch in Prince George's County. You can see the result of the clear cut. This was a totally forested area. And you can see the artificial sinuosity of the newly engineered channel. So this is that project where I traced the aerial photographs from before and after. You can see the original stream in green and the after stream location in red. This is Beaver Creek. This is now in Washington County. This is Broad Creek in Annapolis, Anne Arundel County. Same project. Notice the plastic sheeting that they dump rocks on top of. And this is done in a lot of projects. And I'll show you pictures of where these plastic sheets get exposed when the stormwater destroys the project. And this is another section of the project. So what about the impact of invasive plants? This slide is from a stream restoration in Alexandria. Non-native invasive plants thrive on disturbed soil, and these projects create miles of disturbed soil. They basically become highways that allow non-native invasives to penetrate deep into natural areas. The photo on the right shows the same location 5 years later, and it's covered in non-native invasives, including Japanese stilt grass. And this is a quote from Rod Simmons, the former natural resources manager from the city of Alexandria. He says, quote, stream construction projects are major vectors for the growth and spread of non-native invasive plants that completely engulf sites following major soil disturbances, unquote. This is the Falls Reach project on the right after 4.5 years. And this is mainly invasive Japanese stilt grass. And the problem is that non-native invasive plants crowd out native plants that native insects and our native animals need to survive. This is Bedfordshire project after 7 years. Again, this is mainly invasive Japanese stilt grass. This slide illustrates the collateral damage, which is a euphemism for death and destruction, done by these stream restoration projects, in addition to the larger trees that the companies and the governments seem to only talk about. These are just this is just a tiny example of all the Maryland native wildflowers and small animals that simply can't outrun the bulldozers. And I took these pictures on my property in Montgomery County. This is a dead box turtle that was trapped by soil stabilization matting at the Whetstone Run Restoration Project in Gaithersburg. So what about the fish? This is just an example of a subset of the native Maryland fish that are found in our streams. And even if the fish survive a stream restoration, and that's a big if, as I'll explain in the next slide, it's again impossible for them to move over the rock dams that I showed earlier. This is from the Bear Branch stream restoration in PG County. And like most of these projects, the entire stream was pumped around the site during construction. And according to a USDA National Engineering Handbook called Stream Restoration Design, they say aquatic life would either be pulverized, or rather either be prevented from passing the project or pulverized by the pump. So what's the evidence for stream restoration failures? And again, the point is that these projects fail because they don't address the root cause of the problem, which is the stormwater coming off our impervious surfaces. It's revealing that most of these companies only guarantee their work for 1 year. Why? Because they know that these projects are going to get blown out or washed away by future rainstorms, since the stream restorations aren't controlling the stormwater at its source. What happens after 1 year and the projects need to be repaired? Well, we, the taxpayer, pay the bill. This is a picture on the left. This is Joseph's Branch in Kensington, showing how large boulders that were used to stabilize the stream are being totally ripped out of place. All these boulders are being dislodged by stormwater that hasn't been controlled before it fire hoses into the stream, as shown in the photo on the right that I took at the exact same location during a rainstorm. This is Cabin Branch stream restoration in Bethesda, showing how the uncontrolled stormwater has just eroded out behind, eroded the stream bank behind the protected rock wall, really rendering it useless. This shows blown out armor plating along Long Branch in Tacoma Park, and you can see the huge size of the boulders compared to the people. This is Snake Den Branch in Potomac. On the right, you can see the blown out area. The water has gone over and around the rock wall, has continued to erode the stream bank behind it. And here you can see the exposed plastic sheeting, which will break down once it's exposed to UV light, adding to our microplastics problem. This is the Bedfordshire project that shows the post-construction stream bank erosion. And it also shows boulders in the stream that were disrupted from their original placement. This is the same project, and you can see this so-called restoration has failed to prevent this erosion. And by the way, this is exactly the kind of picture that Montgomery County and all these jurisdictions show to justify doing the stream restoration in the first place. They say, oh, we got to handle the erosion. Well, guess what? They don't. This is the old Farm Creek tributary, Montgomery County, showing how the stream restoration failed. This is also the old Farm Creek, showing erosion post-restoration. And yet, Montgomery County now wants to repair this project for $800,000. This is throwing good money after bad. And the $25 billion a year stream restoration industry loves these projects because they're the gift that keep on giving. Here's the result of the long-term Grosvenor-Lux Manor stream restoration in Montgomery County. Again, didn't work. And yet, Montgomery County now wants to spend another $4.8 million to repair this. This is the Lower Booze Creek stream restoration in Potomac. Originally cost $700,000. The photo on the left shows some of the damage to the original stream restoration at one spot. The photo on the right is a different location after the repair project. And the repair project cost an additional $3.6 million. And that's why I have the little icon of someone throwing money into a trash bin. Stream restoration failure in Annapolis Landing in Anne Arundel County. Again, note the exposed plastic sheeting. This is the Bacon Ridge project in Anne Arundel, and note the cloudy water. It shows the erosion hasn't stopped. This is a site in Reston, Virginia, showing how the water is chocolate brown after their so-called stream restoration. Again, shows this project didn't stop the erosion. So let me show you some of the science that I use to show that stream restorations, in fact, do not work. Margaret Palmer, University of Maryland, did a meta-study of 644 projects and showed that the water quality didn't improve, the biology didn't improve. I have links to all these, you can look at the sources yourself. This was a meta-analysis of 40 projects by Robert Hildebrand, University of Maryland. He concludes, quote, there simply were few ecological differences between restored and unrestored sites. An analysis of 11 streams in Anne Arundel County by Sutherland showed that the biology did not improve, and in fact was worse after the projects. This slide is just to say that there are other papers as well, as I show on the next slide. Here they are. I'll make a copy of this available. You can take a look at these. Someone might say, well, I have a paper that says Project X worked. And I say, it's not surprising that some projects may be shown to be successful in terms of nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment reduction, and maybe even biological uplift. But the meta-studies show that the successful projects are outliers. These are the rare exceptions rather than the rule. So what about the cost of outstream stormwater control versus stream restorations? Most jurisdictions and the industry say the reason they do stream restorations is that they're a cost-effective, and sometimes they say the most cost-effective way to meet the MS4 permit. But MDE's report, which compiles statewide data on MS4 permit costs from the various jurisdictions, says that there are 20 different types of out-of-stream practices that are more cost-effective than stream restorations. And I won't read them, but I listed them on the right. And this kind of gives the lie to the claim that stream restorations are the cheapest way to meet the MS4 permit. For your reference, here are the actual prices. I'm not going to go through them. Again, these 20 practices are all cheaper than stream restorations. And this is just, I will note, this is just the cost of construction. So to summarize, there are 20 non-stream practices that are cheaper than stream restorations, but really we should be comparing the life cycle cost, which would be the cost of construction plus the maintenance plus the repair, for example. But MDE doesn't provide this data. I asked them for it. They said they're not required by law to provide it. Montgomery County doesn't provide it. I've asked them for it. On top of this, we should be comparing the value of the ecosystem services or functions that are lost from stream restorations and gained by non-destructive stormwater control practices, such as the cooling effect of trees on utility bills, and so on and so forth. But no research that I have heard about has really been done on this. I think we can confidently predict the results, however, which is that the green stormwater control will be shown to be even more cost effective, as illustrated by the graphic on the right, once all these other ecosystem services are taken into account. So this all kind of begs the question, given all the negatives, why are stream restorations still being done? And it's a sum of all of these reasons, most of which I've already covered, but let me just mention a few additional ones. I've actually seen written responses to citizen complaints about stream restorations, and the answer is, well, we got all the permits and approvals. The implication being that the project must be good because they got the permits and approvals. Well, getting these permits and approvals only means it's legal, not that it's good. And I suggest, well, the folks that fog neighborhoods with DDT, they got the permits too, right? Although some jurisdictions imply that they're required to do stream restorations, in fact, no regulations actually require stream restorations, but certainly regulations encourage them to be done by virtue of the MS4 permit crediting scheme that is controlled by MDE. Another reason stream restorations are still being done is, frankly, the disinformation presented by the industry and local governments that there's not enough space for upland or out-of-stream stormwater control projects. This is demonstrably false. There are locations everywhere you look, and the proponents of stream restorations constantly say this. Montgomery County constantly says this, but they conveniently never show any data. They just wave their arms. So let me just give you a simple example. When someone says there's not enough land for upland stormwater control, they're frankly giving disinformation, and they're just not looking hard enough. So this is a potential location for stormwater control, just one location, I admit, in Kensington. And right now, all the stormwater from the street ends up going into the drain and right into Rock Creek Park. So let me just show you a mock of what this could look like. It's crude, admittedly, but this whole median could be a huge, beautiful bioretention filled with native plants to take water off the street. And every house that you saw on the side could have a bioretention or a rain garden in the front to take stormwater runoff from the street. And plus the road could be repaved with permeable pavement. And I have data from one company that says they can actually do permeable pavement cheaper than regular asphalt or concrete. So let me give you a few Montgomery County specifics, since I think most of us are from Montgomery here and Rockville. So for your reference, this is a list of the bottom 4 stream restoration projects that are scheduled to start this year. And you might live near one of them, in which case you might be a little concerned at this point. What does Montgomery County say about the cost of out-of-stream versus stream restoration costs? Well, they say precious little. The only cost they give is for stream restorations, which is circled at the bottom of the blue column, which is, by the way, 46% higher than the state average in the black column to the left. Montgomery County provides really no other costs. Well, they provide no costs for out-of-stream projects. Not exactly the definition of government transparency. But let me show you what they do present to the public as their cost justification for doing stream restorations. This is from an actual MoCo DEP presentation. The first bar on the left is DEP's cost for stream restorations, which is about $47,000 per acre treated. In the second column, DEP lumps all 7 or so of what they call green streets practices into a single bar at $203,000. The fallacy of the comparison is that the single practice of stream restorations at $47K is being compared to green streets, which is actually a mix of at least 7 different practices, including rain gardens, bioretentions, etc. They don't break out the prices. And so what I've done is I've taken that, put it into a PowerPoint just so I can add some more information. So this shows you what the hypothetical cost data might look like, represented by the brown bars, if DEP were to break out the different practices. I made these up. We just don't know. Some green street practices are going to be cheaper, and some are going to be more expensive than stream restorations. But it's misleading. It's misleading for the county to say that stream restorations are the cheapest solution. And so here I added the yellow bars of some of the 20 different practices that the state says are more cost effective than stream restorations. Just as a comparison with how Montgomery County would present their costing. So to conclude, I think we can all agree on the problem. How do we handle stormwater? We just disagree on the solution. Here's a quote from Tom Jordan, Smithsonian Environmental Research Center. He says, "It seems like we should design urban development to protect the streams, not the other way around." So in summary, here are a list of reasons to incentivize out-of-stream stormwater control. Number one, out-of-stream stormwater control practices address a whole list of residents' concerns, such as flooding, reducing heat island effects, property values, urban green spaces, and protecting natural areas. Number two, the alternative, stream restorations, do none of these things. They destroy natural areas, and direct observations and the science show they don't work. Number three, there are 20 practices that are less expensive than stream restorations. And number four, the way to fix streams is to fix the problem at its source, to control stormwater outside of streams by non-destructive practices, such as rain gardens, bioswales, etc. These projects don't destroy our natural areas. And so I would just encourage you to voice your opinions to your elected officials if you so desire. And at this point, I'd be happy to take questions. Let me put my video back on.
First of all, thank you all for being here. Ken, thank you for joining us. Ken, can you tell us in very few words how you got started on this effort for looking at stormwater and stormwater management?
Well, I guess I started out by I got interested. I mean, I do a lot of I live a lot of hiking in natural areas, and I hike all these parks through Montgomery County and natural areas, and you can see the erosion. And so I knew there was a big problem. I then got hooked up with a group in Montgomery County, which is kind of an umbrella organization that is looking at stormwater control in general. And then just by happenstance, I happened to, and I don't remember exactly how, but find out about a stream restoration project that was happening about 2 miles from where I live. Went out and looked at it, and I could see all this heavy equipment rolling around, and I could see all the trees being cut down, and became a great concern of mine. So,
Marcia, can you jump in?
Yes, hi. I live in King Farm, and I'm curious to know if you have looked at any of their stormwater management.
No, I haven't. I mean, the only stormwater management that I really have gone out purposely to look at are what Montgomery County calls their green streets projects, which are the roadside bioswales and permeable pavement, things like that. And I have to say, I'm very critical of Montgomery County, but I do say that when they do these bioswales and the green street projects, they do a great job. My beef is that they just don't do enough of them. And you can Google Montgomery County green streets or even stormwater management, and they have pictures of all these projects. Some of them are up like in north of Silver Spring in the I can't remember the name of the road, but they have some good pictures.
Okay. Well, in King Farm, what have a question about is they have, like, we are at Gaither and King Farm Boulevard in a condo building, and the next block is a whole block that is a green space and a pond. Okay, followed by 2 corporate buildings, a green space, and a pond. Are those appropriate in other words, yeah, how do we know when there's a development project or certainly new development projects? How do we know then what's the correct plan? How do we advocate for a green plan, a plan that's going to work? Because with all of the climate change, I mean, you're looking at it today. So, yeah, I guess, so how as citizens do we advocate for what you believe is going to work?
Well, in terms of citizen, advocacy, obviously the answer is, if you have an opinion on these things, you need to contact your elected officials. I mean, nothing's going to change unless you contact your elected officials. You bring up a lot of good points. Climate change, all of our regulations in existence today are based on historical rainfall events. NOAA is in the process of updating all of their rainfall data, and that's going to influence what we now call 100-year floodplains, and it's incumbent upon our jurisdictions to change their regulations, both the local, state level, to catch up with the new reality. All jurisdictions have regulations on required stormwater control for new development. I believe, I'm not cynical enough to think that they aren't meeting those. I believe they are, but the problem is they're woefully inadequate. So, for example, I believe Montgomery County, for a new house is built, you have to do stormwater control for a 1 inch a 1 inch rainfall in 24 hours. Well, we all know that we see that stuff all the time. That's would basically be considered a 1 year storm. It's woefully inadequate, and the problem is even worse than that. That the problem comes from the 99% of the land area that's already developed. There's no those are not required to meet new stormwater control, and so it may be inappropriate to get into here, but one of the things I've been working on is I say what shouldn't be done, but I also have been working on what should be done, which is I have a lot of suggestions, and you can contact me if you're interested. A lot of suggestions for legislation and even executive action that could be taken to. I'll just give you one example. If an existing house is sold, why not say that when the property is sold, it has to be brought up to new code for stormwater management? Just one example. There are a lot of problems and issues behind that, like what about low-income people? But I kind of addressed those too. But anyway, it's a huge problem.
Let me talk through a few of the questions in the chat. I want to make one quick comment, though. I often attend, I don't know what they're called, neighborhood advisory boards or something like that, where a project's about to happen. When I sit on those boards, one of the things that's almost clear to me is they're there to talk us through the process and not take any advice on whether we are really interested or not. I know the moment I sit on one of those boards, the project's going to happen no matter what the citizens have to say about it. Just my own opinion.
Howard, can I just interject?
Sure.
Absolutely agree, and the county will say, oh well, we have we have meetings with the areas where we're going to do these projects to educate them and get their feedback. It's like, no, you're not. They're frankly, they're all dog and pony shows. The project's going to be done, and it's like kind of a listen and ignore session.
We had someone in the chat notice that it's raining today. Actually, some of you may have noticed it's raining today, except for our California constituents. So I guess that's a premonition of what our program was today. How much does one of these projects cost? And is it all taxpayer money? I think you addressed most of that issue. You have any special comments you want to add to that?
They're very expensive, and it obviously the answer is it depends on the project. Anywhere from $500,000 to a couple $1 million. Where's the money come from? A lot of it comes from our water quality, what's it called? People call it the rain tax. It's a terrible term, but it's in your property taxes. So yeah, it's taxpayer money. I think some of these projects are done like Mitch Rails did one out at Glenstone. I think he paid for it himself, the Glenstone Museum, but the county took credit for it as for the MS4.
Let's see, typically these projects are funded by municipalities, the state and grant money. A restoration near my home cost SHA $2.2 million. I think that's more a comment than a question. Are they all federal grants? The answer, of course, I think is no. As someone here said, some are. Mr. Gillespie, want to jump in? And don't be shy, people. You can just jump in.
Sure. I just took a second here to unmute. First, just off the top of my head, a great presentation, Ken. This is one of the best I've seen on this rather thorny topic. One thing I wanted to mention was I live in Arlington, Virginia, and along with some good friends in Alexandria, we worked on sampling, doing water quality monitoring on a stream in Alexandria to show that the proposed stream restoration on Taylor Run would not achieve the credits that the city was hoping to get for nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment. So one of the fallacies in these stream restorations is that they estimate through calculations based now on stream bank soil samples. In the past, they could get away with using estimates based on a stream in Pennsylvania that had little to do with our streams. But my point here is that if you really want to know what nutrient credits you deserve by doing some work in a stream, you need to monitor the water that flows into and out of the stream. And in Alexandria, in any case, we found that almost all the pollution, certainly most of the phosphorus, a lot of the sediment, and a large part of the nitrogen, it actually came from the upstream watershed. It didn't come from the stream at all. So this just adds to Ken's point that, you know, the stream isn't the problem. It's the problem lies in the upstream watershed. Thanks.
Yeah, good point, Bill.
Someone asked, so we failed stream restorations. What can be done? Plant more trees and natives in the zone and let it move back toward native stream flow?
Well, maybe I didn't do it. Maybe I didn't do my job well enough, but the answer to the question, what can be done, is you keep the stormwater from getting into the streams to begin with, to stop the stream erosion. And then the question is, well, what about, let's say for sake of argument, you can keep all the stormwater out of the stream. What do you do about the condition, the condition, the graded condition that the streams are left in? I say, let nature take its course. These so-called stream restorations where they're dumping rocks into the stream, they're literally changing the course of the stream. I mean, that's not putting the stream back to what it used to be. Those, the results of the projects don't look anything like, a pre-colonial time. So I say, let nature take its course. The erosion, the steeply eroded stream banks will slowly slough off and decrease. You can go in and plant some saplings in there to stabilize the stream banks. And there's actually been a study that showed how they took a very small watershed and they showed that in this little area where they were able to control the stormwater, that these stream banks are starting to self-stabilize.
Boy, we do have a lot of people in the chat, but go ahead, Marcia. Marcia, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, going back to the planning, the projects that have not yet been done, then one of the, like there's again, in my neighborhood, there's something called the Great Seneca project or whatever. It has to do with, I'm also interested in pedestrian safety. And so there's a whole plan with several options by the best way to keep pedestrians safe and then how to redesign Shady Grove Road. Part of it is the whole Shady Grove Road and what to do about that. And to me, part of that, whatever they're going to build, right, has to always include stormwater management issues. I mean, every road that builds that this has to be part of it, right?
You'd think so. Well, that's a really huge issue, and it seems like a no-brainer to me. I've mentioned this to the county on many occasions. Near me, they went in and they had to bring in some heavy equipment because there was a storm pipe that went under a road, and that'd be a perfect time to go in and put in some bioretentions. They got all the people out there. They've got all the equipment,
Right.
and the problem is, and Mark Elrich knows this in Montgomery County. These departments are siloed. You've got Department of Transportation, and you've got Environmental Protection. Environmental Protection doesn't do roads. Roads doesn't do environmental protection. Why why aren't they talking to each other?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it sounds like to me that's what really needs to happen. I mean, I really have a lot of respect, as I think you do too, for our county officials. And to me, it sounds like these people are just not educated about what the proper solutions are. And so they're making the wrong decisions, or they're not making decisions when it involves money, of course, that's going to be most efficiently spent. So I think education is a really big part of this. So thank you very much. I'm learning a lot from this, and I will contact my people and let them know that they need to be aware. Yeah, they need to get educated about this.
That's the only way things are going to change. Is these elected officials, they want to get reelected, and they want to do what people ask them to do.
Ken, we're past the hour. So again, thank you all for joining. Our makerspace is open. If anyone wants to know more about the makerspace, contact the Science Center. For those of you out of towners, thank you for joining us today. And next time, we